Good evening, peeps. This is Ariel Grace from A Gang of Girls Radio, author of I'm Psychic, Not Telepathic. And tonight we're going to be talking about some sacred sites around the world. You know, places where people celebrate the summer solstice, and maybe some handy tips on how you can celebrate the summer solstice. Hey, Kelly. So we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna travel around the world tonight. Hey, Mary Bowberry. So, but first, I just want to make a couple announcements. First, for those of you who are, hey Bonnie, for those of you who are like still struggling with COVID and things like that, I've heard quite a few conspiracy theories. And COVID is actually a virus and you can get it. Hey, Dana. So make sure that you're taking precautions so that you don't get it. Okay? Because ever since they kind of started opening up our area in Florida, there's been some spikes in the COVID thing. And so just make sure that when you're out and about, wear your face mask, use hand sanitizer. Make sure that you're just please taking care of yourselves, okay? Because it's not a conspiracy. It's a real thing. It's a virus. It's all over the world right now. And we want to make sure that you're safe, okay? Okay. And then right now, too, everybody's like, oh my God, there's protests, there's riots. Well, if you've ever listened to Rockin' Reverend Rhonda's shows, you'll know that she's been talking about the stars lining up astrologically for this type of thing to happen. And it has happened exactly how she's explained it to me. We've all felt it too. I felt like there's going to be some outspokenness and things like that as well. And people are looking for that equal exchange of energy. And so they're going to be protests. Now, the riots are different than protests. I'm all for protests. I'm all for everybody standing up for themselves and that. Riots are a whole different ballgame. Those people are just people taking advantage of the protests. So please be careful. Be present wherever you're at. Make sure you know what's going on around you so you don't get caught up in any kind of craziness. Okay? Because they're not going to stop. This is just the beginning of it. It's going to keep on going. So just please be present. Be safe. Okay. So for those of you who want an astrology consultation, you can check out Rockin' Reverend Rhonda at karmiclaw.com and make an appointment with her. I think she has some kind of special going on right now. I can't remember what it is, though. For those of you who want a psychic medium type of reading, you can check out my bro, Psychic Theo, at psychictheo.com. For those of you who need cord cutting ceremony, you can check out Melinda Carver on Facebook and see if you can get an appointment with her. Okay? Because it's always good when you stop something to clear your energy field, get rid of all your goo and cooties, and restart nice and fresh. All right? Okay. So, yes, I am teaching, but I am only doing private lessons and stuff like that. If you look on my website, you'll see the accountability sessions, and I do those accountability sessions to teach. All right? So for those of you who want that, send me an email at agangofgirlsinc@gmail.com, and we'll get you going on there. We'll get you set up, okay, besides the readings and stuff. All right. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about the summer solstice. Like, the summer solstice is the longest day of the year. It's coolest. And so every year I find a different way of celebrating the summer solstice, whether it is like going to the beach and, and being there at the beach, in the sun, and appreciating the sun. And really that's what it's about. The Celts celebrated the summer solstice. This was the time when their god and goddess, when the goddess became pregnant. And she is pregnant with, like, the harvest, right? So what people would do is go out into the fields, and there usually was, like, a statue out there, and they would have bowls out by the statue, and they would bring flowers. They would bring milk and honey out as their, as their gifts to the goddess, to show their gratitude for their good harvest. So this is a time of year where we can say that, where we can look at our seeds that we planted, our ideas, our gardens, our actual gardens, and see that there's growth, there's abundance there. And so that's what this time of year is about. Summer solstice is celebrating that. So look at your life and see what you have to celebrate. Make an offering. Okay? We're going to be talking about some cultures that maybe did some human offerings a long time ago, but that's how they did their thing. We don't have to do that right now in this time period, but we can offer like flowers. We can offer like planting flowers. We can offer I offer chocolate. So I think chocolate is like the best thing on the planet. So that's usually my offer. Okay, so we're going to start out with some really awesome places. There's actually 4 places that we'll be talking about. I know I put up Newgrange, but when I was doing the research for Newgrange, and I forgot about this, is Newgrange is actually set up for the winter solstice. I shared a video on a Ganga Girls Radio page about Newgrange. Newgrange is in Ireland, and it is an awesome archaeological site, and it's just a beautiful place. So check that out. Hey, Penny. And throughout the week too, I'll be sharing more information about these different sites so that you can check them out. There's a lot of really good information like on YouTube, on Google. You can Google a lot of stuff and get information from there. So, look around if you're interested in any of these places. One of the reasons why I like doing these types of shows, is because afterwards people get a hold of me and they're like, oh my God, I totally resonated with that place that you were talking about. I bought like 10 books about it. I was watching YouTube for 10 hours. And it's good because it may trigger something in you that you feel resonates with your soul, with your being, So, okay. So I've only been to one of these sites that we'll be talking about, and I'll let you know what my story is. Hey, Penny. Hey, Jason. And I'll let you know my story about it. So we're going to start at Machu Picchu. So we're going to go south. We're going to South America, people. We're going to the jungles. It's hot, it's sticky, and there's lots of mosquitoes. So if you're going to be traveling south, make sure that, to South America, Mexico, Yucatan, any of those places, make sure that you take a lot of vitamin B complex. Mosquitoes hate the smell of vitamin B complex for some reason. If you can get a bee shot, that would be really good too. That way, because it's like a natural mosquito repellent. And it'll keep them from biting you. They don't like the smell. So if you're going south, do that so you don't get bit. All right, so we're going to Machu Picchu. You can look up and see the beautiful pictures of Machu Picchu. It is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so Machu Picchu is the city of the Incas. It is believed to be built by, and I'm sorry for saying this, I may pronounce this wrong. It's believed to have been built by Pachacuti, Inca, Yupan, Kai. I think that's how you say it. All right. The ninth ruler of the Inca in the mid 1400s. And he was an empire builder. The Pachacuti, he was that. He initiated a series of conquests that would eventually see the Inca grow into a South American realm that stretched from Ecuador to Chile. Okay, so it was huge. Ecuador to Chile. Holy cow, that's a huge area. And so he built Machu Picchu mid 1400s. So that's pretty close, you know. Okay, so Machu Picchu was built in a classical Inca style with polished dry stone walls. Its three primary structures are the Intihuatana, the Temple of the Sun, and the Room of the Three Windows. In 2007, Machu Picchu was voted one of the new 7 wonders of the world in a worldwide internet poll. Okay, so it's new. Hi, Robert. Hi, Courtney. So, when you go check it out, I mean, I thought that was really cool. When I found out, I was like, wow, they have new 7 wonders. That's cool. So it was voted as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. All right, so the temple we're going to be talking about is the Temple of the Sun. If you look up Machu Picchu, you'll be able to see different buildings. You'll be able to see the archaeological site. Okay, right now, a lot of the places that I'm talking about are closed down because of COVID. But they have some really awesome websites and some virtual tours that you can take. And that way you can check out the area yourself. So if you're curious, please do that. All right, so the Temple of the Sun. So this is their special place where it's their cultural place for religion and spiritual practices. All right? And it's where a rite of passage would have happened. It's where they celebrated the solstice. In fact, in this building, there is, when the summer solstice hits the building at a certain angle, when the sun rises, the sun actually, you could see the sun travel across the inside of the building. So that is something that you can check out too. I mean, the building it's not a whole building, but you can see, you can see how the sun would travel across it. It's really cool. So the Temple of the Sun, or Temple de Sol, was a sacred temple built by the Inca for ceremonies to pay tribute, to give offerings to the sun. And in a lot of cultures, that's what happened. Like, people were always giving offerings to the sun, because without the sun, no food, right? Without the sun, no life. So they were always giving offerings. And it was a lot of times something that they held precious to themselves to give to their sun god. Okay. All right. So think of a tribute or an offering you would like to give to the sun. Yeah, that'd be fun. The sun was a vital part of Incan life, considered to be responsible for that creation of all things. Therefore, this temple was off limits to the common people. Only sacred priests were allowed inside. And you'll hear that from most cultures too, in their temples, and even in Egypt as well. In the Egyptian temples, only the high priests or the priestesses were allowed in the inner sanctum of the temples. Okay, so there would usually be an inner sanctum, and then around it was where regular people could be and giving their offerings. All right. Okay, so It's an awesome site. Please do go take the virtual tour. All you have to do is Google Machu Picchu and the website will come up and you'll be able to go. I think that one has the virtual tour, which is really cool. Besides, the pictures are so beautiful. All right, so from Machu Picchu, we're going to go to Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza holds a special place in my heart. I have yet to go there. But as soon as I had some friends that were from the Yucatan Peninsula, and they're Mayan. And they were telling me about their culture. It was like about 20 years ago I met them when I was in California. And they're telling me about their culture, and they're telling me about the Yucatan, and they're telling me about Chichen Itza. And as soon as they said Chichen Itza, I was like my heart just exploded. And so they said that that area is just, it's a very beautiful, very forested area. It's really a lot of mosquitoes. Again, so if you go down there, vitamin B. And everybody sleeps in hammocks because it's so hot that you want to sleep up off the floor in something where the air can blow all around you so you can get good gusts. But that's what, they joked around about Chichen Itza and it being very muggy. So when you go down there, prepare yourself for that. All right. So Chichen Itza is in Mexico. It's on the Yucatan Peninsula, and the Mayans built it. They built it. It's actually, Chichen Itza itself is a village, okay? So it's a village around a pyramid, all right? And the pyramid is called El Castillo, all right? So that's what they would call it. Chichen Itza is classified as one of the 7 wonders of the world, and in 1988 was enlisted as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, number 2. The term Chichen Itza means mouth of the well of Itza. It is believed Itza means water magicians, deriving from the Mayan Itz for magic and for water. Okay, so the pyramid is called El Castillo. And El Castillo, it's a Spanish pronunciation. Spanish for castle, the castle, all right? Also known as the Temple of Kukulkan. And there's another version of it. I can't pronounce it. And it's a Mesoamerican step pyramid that dominates the center of Chichen Itza archaeological site in the Mexican state of Yucatan. So the Yucatan is on the eastern side of Mexico. Okay, so the pyramid was built to be a physical representation of the Mayan calendar, the same calendar that predicts the end of the world in 2012. While its orientation is slightly northeast, is believed to have been calculated in order to create the phenomenon known as the descent of Kukulkan. So it's built by the pre-Columbian Mayan civilization, sometime between the 8th and the 12th centuries CE or AD. El Castillo served as a temple of the god Kukulkan, the Yucatec Maya feathered serpent deity. Okay, so he's closely related to one of the gods from central Mexico. It's the one that looks like an eagle, known to the Aztecs and other central Mexican cultures of the post-classic period. So what they use the pyramid for, so on the summer solstice, on one side of the pyramid, when the sun starts to rise, you start to see the sun's ray hit the pyramid, and you can see it climb up the pyramid. And that's how they knew it was the summer solstice. And they would be out there giving offerings and dancing and singing. And they do this mostly during the spring and fall equinox. So there is a huge celebration for spring and fall, and they also do something for the summer. But spring and fall are their big ones. All right, so, and that's how they can tell what season it is or where the sun is rising, is through this pyramid and how it was laid out and how tall it was built. Okay, so it's pretty cool how the step pyramid looks. I mean, it looks kind of diagonal. I don't think people are allowed to walk on it anymore because it's an UNESCO site, and there were too many people going up to the top, and it was damaging the pyramid. So I believe, though, that you can still walk around the pyramid and look at it. Now, if you walk around the pyramid, look at the pictures, or if you go on the website, look at the pictures of the outside of the pyramid and see the carvings on the outside are pretty awesome. All right. So, let's see. The pyramid consists of a series of square terraces with stairways up the sides of the northern balustrade, creating the illusion of a feathered serpent crawling down the pyramid. No, they don't. Courtney, what? No, they don't what? You have to put more in there so I know. Okay. So it creates that shadow that I was talking about. It looks like the shadow of the feathered god as the sun comes up. All right. So, late in the afternoon, sun strikes off the northwest corner of the pyramid and casts a series of triangular shadows against the northern balustrade, creating the illusion of the feathered serpent crawling up the pyramid. The event has been very popular and is witnessed by thousands of visitors at the spring. This is the spring equinox. So, but it is questionable whether it is a result of purposeful design, which I think that's what it is, because the light and the shadow effect can be observed without major changes during several weeks around the equinoxes. So I do feel like it was purposeful design, right? Because of the way they created the pyramid with the northeast in mind, and then the way the four sides of the pyramids were built. So I do feel like they actually designed it that way, which is kind of cool. If you think about all these wonderful places that we're going to talk about tonight, a lot of the places were just like totally designed for wonderful things to happen during different days of the year for their celebrations. Like, they figured it out. It's pretty cool. And yet they didn't have like all the crazy stuff that we have now, but they were able to do that. So it's a shadow effect, and it happens during the equinox and the solstices, and they have celebrations for all of those days. And what we're talking about, El Castillo at Chichen Itza, the Great Pyramid. Chichen Itza itself, remember, is a village. And so culturally, what they would do is they did the dance of the snake, and they would dance. They would start their dance in the village, and it would go all the way around the temple. And I believe that they still do that now. I don't feel like they're doing it this year, though. Hi, Iris. All right. So, and that's Chichen Itza. All right. So, but each of the pyramid's four sides has around 91 steps, which, when added together and including the temple platform on the top as the final step, may produce a total of 365 steps. The steps on the south side of the pyramid are eroded, which is equal to the number of days of the year. That's pretty cool too, right? So they did that, like they built that between the 8th and the 12th centuries CE. That's pretty cool, right? Because I don't even think Europe was on a 365-day calendar at that time. I don't think they were. Okay, so the next one is Stonehenge. Hi, Robert. Don't drive and listen to this. You can always listen to it later. All right, so Stonehenge. All right, so there's lots of cool things about Stonehenge, and we just talked about like the gods and the goddesses in Europe, and how people believed that the goddess at this time was pregnant, and she was pregnant with the harvest, right? And so Stonehenge was built by the Druids. The Druids were the spiritual priests, the bards. They were the ones that taught the their different spiritual beliefs. Now, what is cool about the Druids is that all of the lessons or teachings were spoken. A lot of stuff was not written down, so it came from each person down. So it was a spoken tale, spoken. It was taught in that way. And so I know a lot of teachers now that are starting to do that again, is they're teaching by speaking, right? I had a teacher, we weren't allowed to take notes. We had to memorize what the teacher said. So, and that's how the Druids taught. And that's how they taught all of their stories. They taught their lessons, and they taught people how to work their type of energy or magic, okay? So it's a pretty cool thing. It's a lot, sometimes people say, oh my God, I don't know, or the historians will say there's big gaps in the history here. And a lot of times it's because it came down through the families, it came down through the Druids, it came down through the different villages and that. And that's why we don't have written word or recordings. Okay, so one of the most popular beliefs is that Stonehenge was built by the Druids. These high priests of the Celts constructed it for sacrificial ceremonies. Now, they're not sure if everything they did there was, sacrifices. I just watched an archaeological thing on that. It's pretty interesting. It was John Aubrey who first linked Stonehenge to the Druids. And they did find, when they were digging around Stonehenge and they were digging around the stones, they did find people buried underneath, I think like 4 of the stones, not all of them, but 4 of them. And they believed the reason why they were buried there is because they were probably important people in their clans or tribes, and that's why they received that burial. So they weren't sacrifices because of what they found in the burials as well. So let's see. The set of stones laid out in concentric rings and horseshoe shapes on an empty Salisbury plain is at the age of 4,000 years old. So it's about 4,000 years old or so. That new archaeological thing that I read or watched, it was on YouTube, and they think it might even be before 4,000 years. So one of the oldest and certainly best preserved megalithic ancient stone structures on Earth. Okay, so it's ancient. It's awesome. And if you've ever seen pictures of the stones, get close up, good pictures of the stones. They're so beautiful. So beautiful. So Stonehenge is most archaeologically sophisticated prehistoric stone circle in the world. Well, Avebury is the largest in the world. And Avebury is, it's not that far away, actually, from Stonehenge. Together with the interrelated monuments and their associated landscapes, they help us understand Neolithic and Bronze Age ceremonial and mortuary practices. Okay, so that people would travel from all over to go to Stonehenge to do their ceremonies and things like that, to do their worshiping. And again, only the high priests or the high druids were allowed within the concentric ring, from what we understand, and the people were outside. They gathered outside of the ring. All right. So, so it's known if you stand in just the right place inside Stonehenge Monument on the day of the northern summer solstice, facing the northeast through the entrance towards a rough stone-hewn stone outside circle known as the heel stone, you will see the sun rise above the heel stone as illustrated in this image. And I'm going to give you the website right now. The website is called earthsky.org. And if you go there and look up Stonehenge, you'll see the images with the sun coming up, beautiful images. And that is another way, again, that's like their compass to know that it is the summer solstice. And they can do it with other stones too, for the spring equinox, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice as well. All right, so they did worship the sun. And it's really cool because people still go up there, as in a lot of these monuments, to see that beautiful thing happen. So with all of these monuments or all of these great places, you can do this. You can celebrate with that culture, because a lot of times the people that, it is very cultural, and there are people there actually doing some kind of cultural thing in these places. All right, so remember, they had to figure this out. Again, here are these people, these Bronze Age people, and they're creating huge compasses to let them know when to celebrate, or when the summer solstice is or the winter solstice is, right? So they can practice their celebrations. And a lot of times with the Celts, they did play a lot of music, they did a lot of singing, they did a lot of celebrating, and they drank a lot. It was fun. But the biggest thing with Stonehenge is that there was one point during the year, I think it was a timeline video I watched, one point during the year, that they would go to Stonehenge, and that's where they would honor their dead. And that was a pretty interesting video on YouTube. So I think that was a timeline video, so you can look that up. All right. So with all of these places, I'm going to be posting. I'll post different videos and stuff this week so you can see them, because we're coming up on the summer solstice. And again, think about you and what is your culture? What culturally, historically, in your family, have you ever done anything to celebrate the solstice? Maybe it's time to create a tradition so that you can do something awesome for yourself, and your family. So, like I said, it's the time where our harvests have been planted, our seeds have been sown, and we're watching the growth. So what do you think you could do to celebrate the summer solstice? How can you make an offering to the sun? What would you offer? Okay. So I've left the last place, Chaco Canyon. I've actually been to Chaco Canyon. It's awesome. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Thank you, Robert. Hi, Wendy. So I've been to Chaco Canyon. It's a pretty awesome place. If you go to Chaco Canyon, I think it's closed right now, but if you go to Chaco Canyon, there is a washboard road that goes into Chaco Canyon. And don't go across that road really slow, because you'll ruin your car. go the speed limit, because you're going to want to move across that road pretty quick. Chaco Canyon has a dry camp, so you have to bring in your own water. They do have bathrooms and sinks and showers, and they keep it pretty clean. It's pretty awesome. The area it is a village, and it is hotter than 6 shades of hell there right now. So usually they do a summer solstice celebration. I'll tell you, make sure that you have a lot of water if you go there during the summer solstice, because it is hot, 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 hot. So you're going to want to make sure to bring good food and water. Okay. I can't remember if they have showers or not, but they do have sinks, and you can wet. I was taking my scarf and just wetting it and putting it on. It would be dry in like 10 minutes. But the ruins there are really awesome, and they have a lot of information in their information center. Please really respect the area. Respect any of these sites that you go to. Don't litter. Take care of your camp. When you're ready to leave, make sure you leave that camp the way you found it, because the people that the Indians that run the camp and run the place, they respect that place. So please go in with respect. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It is very, very dry. And there are different buildings that you can go check out. One of the coolest things that's there is a staircase going to nowhere. Like, I saw the staircase and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, a spaceship could land, people could get out of the spaceship. That was my thought, but it's a stairwell. It's an actual stone stairwell, and it goes up. It's in the middle of the village, and I'm not sure what they used it for. Yeah. Don't take anything from any of these places. Don't. That's not good, because you're taking away from the area. Now, Chaco Canyon was like at the crossroads for many places, so it was a busy area. There were a lot of traders that came there, from what I understand. It was an area that was always moving and grooving, always busy, always busy. So a lot of people went through Chaco Canyon, and it is a canyon. Like, you drive in and you go park, or you could drive through the area where the houses are. You really shouldn't stop. But you can drive through the canyon and see the different houses. It looks like somebody took a chisel and just chiseled out the canyon. It's a beautiful canyon, especially when the sun's setting. It's gorgeous. So it's located in northwestern New Mexico, out pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So make sure you're stocked when you get there. Okay, so it has a huge collection of ruins. Yeah, at the most ruins above the Mexico ruins in central Mexico, the pyramids down there. The park preserves one of the most important pre-Columbian cultural and historical areas in the United States between AD 900 and 1150. So Chaco Canyon was a major center for culture for the ancestral Puebloans. All right, so the Pueblo Indians were they're really awesome architects, and they were very strategic, because a lot of the pueblos that were built in the cliff sites, like, oh my gosh, the work that went into that, and they were able to build these communities in the cliffs. So you can go to a lot of places in New Mexico and Colorado, and you can see these awesome buildings. Okay, they're awesome. They just built right into the cliffs. Now there's some when you drive in near the campsite, you'll see some of the buildings that are built into the wall of the canyon. And then when you come around into the actual canyon, you're going to see the big circle buildings, and they're big circles. They look like they could have been like apartment buildings, but circular. All right, small rooms. I mean, they're not huge, but the way that they're built is pretty cool. The stones that they used, please don't touch anything there. Don't touch the buildings or anything. Again, it's one of our precious sites that's had a lot of traffic through it. So please take care of it while you're there visiting. It's a pretty awesome place. So when I went for the summer solstice, there is a kiva there. It's called Casa Rinconada. And it's really big. It's really round. It's their kiva. And the top isn't on it anymore, really. It's, it is a ruin. But when the sun rises up, it starts to rise. It goes through one of the doorways or windows, and you can see the sun go across the back of the kiva. And what is really awesome about going to Chaco Canyon is the Pueblo and Indians have a celebration there. They usually, when the sun's rising, they have somebody there that's playing the flute or playing some type of instrument. They do a really cool ceremony, so to praise the sun, and sing. So, and then sometimes they have the dancers come out, and the dancers will do a sun dance. They have a spiral that people used to be able to go see, but it has become too delicate. They don't let people up there anymore. But if you're standing at sunrise at Casa Rinconada during the summer solstice, you can see that happening, and you can see their ceremony that they do. And I'm pretty sure that the ceremony might change yearly, or not necessarily change totally, but they may have different things that happen during the ceremony each year. And it is a beautiful ceremony. The kiva is built down into the earth, and then the walls come up, and you can see where the poles were placed to hold the roof up on it. All right, so that is a sacred place for them. It is a place where they did their ceremonies. It is a pretty awesome. The energy there is really like multidimensional. That's the only way I can really explain it. It's very multidimensional. There's lots of layers to that place. Definitely. So, Casa Rinconada and the small villages are located 6 miles from the visitor center on the 9-mile canyon loop drive. The trail through Casa Rinconada and the nearby villages is about a half a mile long round trip. It is graveled and climbs several short, steep rises, so assistance is recommended for people using wheelchairs. When you visit Casa Rinconada, you may use the trail guide to learn more about the diverse types of Chacoan architecture and building styles. So there are different building styles. There, and placement of these buildings. While the grand public buildings like Pueblo Bonita and Chetroquetil are in use, smaller, more typical villages existed alongside. This trail will introduce you to the diversity of architecture that existed at the center of Chacoan culture. So when you drive you can drive through it. So when you drive through the village, you'll see these round structures. They're all round. You'll see them throughout. Casa Bonita is, I think it's the biggest one that they have. And then they also have places where there were cisterns. And they also have places where they stored their food, all round. No square. No square. Because a lot of Native American people feel like with square rooms or square houses, that the evil spirits can hide in the corners. And that's why a lot of them are like Hogans and round. So nothing can hide, right? And I think that's kind of cool. So when you go through there and you're looking at it, because you can take the walk through, rest a little bit. There actually isn't really that much shade there. So make sure you wear a hat and sunglasses. But when you're there, just make sure not, as Courtney said, do not take anything from any of these sites. No. I've been to some of the older sites in New Mexico, and I went about 30 years ago, and there was still turquoise on the trails. There were still stones, like semi-precious stones on the trails. And, and the guides would say, don't take anything from here. But it was really cool to actually see things on the trail, these stones on the trail. See the pottery there, So anything that you see there, even if you think it's cool, don't take anything. Just like in Hawaii, don't bring lava rocks home. That's really bad luck. It's awful. And so many people have had really bad luck from doing that. So make sure to respect these areas, because these are places where people used to live. They had their families, they traded, they visited, they worshipped here. And so we want to make sure to respect them and their culture, even if they don't live there anymore. Right? Yes. At Chaco Canyon, you're right, Courtney. A lot of the houses are built in alignment with celestial. They are. They're built like that. They align with the stars. Because these are the star people. And so a lot of people think that they left, like they rose, they ascended. Whether they ascended or whether it was because of the weather and people stopped coming, or, whatever happened, the place was deserted. So, and I think it was, kind of a little bit of both, spiritual ascension, and also because of the weather. Because the weather determines a lot of things. It determines where we do our trade. It determines how we live our lives. So, archaeologists believe that it wasn't always so dry there, that there were more plants. Yeah, it was easier to grow things there. So, climate changed, just like it's changing now. So, these are places that you can look into. These are cultures that you can look into and see if it resonates with you. See if it interests you, if it piques your interest. These are just a few of them. And you can search for them. And I encourage you to do so, because learning about different cultures and different peoples and how they lived and their spiritual ways of being is really awesome, because you can discover maybe a little bit about yourself. So a lot of you ask me about your past lives. Hey, you can discover something about you through doing some of that research. It's pretty cool. And I encourage all of you to do it. And if you need if you need any links or anything, let me know and I'll share the links or I'll send the links to you, because there's a lot of information out there and it's really fun to check out all of these different places. But I'll be sharing some other things as we get closer to the solstice. And think of ways that you can show your appreciation for the sun. Okay? Okay, cool. All right, so that's what I got for you tonight. We're going to be talking about other stuff next week, and it'll be very fun for us. Also, I am doing $50 Friday again in a couple of weeks. So if you want to sign up for a $50 Friday, you can email me at agangofgirlsinc@gmail.com. I think the next one is June 26th. Yeah. So we're going to be doing a numerology show. Hi, Richard. We're going to do a numerology show in July. So for those of you who want your name done up for numerology, send your name to me at agangofgirlsinc@gmail.com and I'll use your name as an example. Otherwise, I'll be teaching you how to use a numerology chart so you can do it for yourself. It'll be fun for us. It's always fun to do numerology. So everyone have a wonderful week. Remember to please be safe, be present, and be careful while you're out and about in the world. Okay? And keep your hearts open and align with the energy of love. I'll see you next week. Good night.